Hi, it's Louise at Spiral Bright Insight. I am back to basically do a follow-up to the video I did at the weekend, which was kind of a general energy update check-in, just sort of reflecting on the fact that Uranus was about to station retrograde, Pluto was about to go back into Capricorn, and we were sort of leading up to this new moon in Virgo. So at the time, I sort of shared where I was at and how the energies were affecting me. And first of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who commented and shared sort of their own experience, because it was really kind of validating for me to know that I wasn't the only one having feeling that things were really unsettled. I also want to acknowledge the couple of people who actually emailed me as well. One in particular, somebody whose chart I did in a reading some time ago, sent me a channeled message. So part of the reason for coming back on today is to share the content of that message, and because I really feel it's important, but also just to kind of come on and say that I don't feel that I'm through this transit by any means, and I'm still having some quite intense reactions, which have all been pretty physical, and I'm putting that down to the fact that we've been working with the moon in Virgo. Obviously the sun is in Virgo, and Pluto and Uranus are both in earth signs as well, so that is making it a very physical experience, and thankfully now, as I get to record this video, the moon has just moved into Libra, and already I'm starting to feel some sort of relief, which is like, oh, thank goodness. But I wanted to just acknowledge that I have had some more insight as well over the past few days, because obviously, when you have a strong reaction to something, a situation, whether it's an energetic reaction or whether it's an emotional reaction, it is often our body's way or our spirit's way of trying to attract our attention and get us to focus on something. So for me, it started off with anxiety, feeling very out of sorts, very unsettled. I've had some quite wild physical symptoms, including like this crazy itching on Monday that wouldn't stop. I've had a lot of heat coming through, which has felt like it's come from the center out, more anxiety, and also something that I'd never experienced before, which kind of met its crescendo, if you will, during a sound healing session that I went to on Monday, actual full body vibrations where it felt like every cell was being shaken and vibrating, and quite unnerving, but also quite empowering at the same time in a funny sort of way. And it struck me, well, I want the information that I'm going to share from the channel message is partly sort of explains what that is, because the lady who emailed me said that she'd also had a very similar thing, and this was before it happened to me. But also just to acknowledge that, when we have got strong earth and we are working with Uranus in particular, which is really electrical, Virgo as well, which is a sign, which is linked to the body, and also to our nervous system and the way we're sort of digesting and dealing with energy in particular. It has been a really visceral, really physical experience, and I have no doubt that the sort of intensity level has stepped up quite significantly, which is probably why, so many of us are having these really strong reactions. But ultimately, it is, my belief that this is all about shaking us out of where we might have become fixed, and it's happening in a very physical way, which is what is needed at this time. So as we step up, the energies are increasing, and the effect on our body is also increasing, especially for those of us who have still got work to do. And what was shown to me really clearly on Monday night before I went into the sound healing session was, and this was kind of through a conversation with someone, and I love how insight comes in many different ways and forms. It was clear that I was trying in a lot of ways to hold on to sort of old ways, old relationships, old setups, which, you know, a big part of me was having a lot of resistance to, because I could feel that there was no resonance there and that, you know, really I need to move on and let go. But there's also a big part of my conditioning that was sort of creating a lot of fear, saying, oh my goodness, you know, if I say that I don't want to do these things or get involved in this, or, you know, or cut it out, you know, that what's going to happen to me? What's, you know, what was the reaction going to be? And, you know, if I'm sort of defying expectations, you know, and all of that sort of old sort of, you know, mind chatter, the monkey mind, the negative mind steps in and is very happy to, try and talk you out of anything that you might be considering. And ultimately, you know, it is part of the defense mechanism, you know, that kind of is about, oh, you know, don't change, don't shift, but equally the impetus and the pressure and the force to change and to let go is just becoming so strong, it's hard to ignore. So I'm feeling, certainly for me, that, you know, that is partly creating this dis-ease and this anxiety, because I know that I have to let go of stuff, but it's like, you know, the fear of what will happen when I do. But what also came through, and again, this is kind of tying back into the astrology, is through this minor grand trine with Pluto in trine to Uranus and with Neptune at the top in Pisces. Again, this was insight that came through really clearly, but, you know, Uranus is doing a really fine job now of destabilizing, shaking up, and just breaking through anything that needs to be removed, that we need to let go of. And obviously on the other side of the triangle, you know, Pluto is digging deep and is seeking transformation, demanding that we let go in order to evolve. And then at the top of this triangle, you know, those two planets, Pluto and Uranus, are really supportive. You know, they both kind of got the same mission and they've both got jobs to do, and they are supporting each other with that in a really harmonious way. And then at the top, you've got Neptune in sextile to both. And, you know, this is about stepping into that space, that void space, where we don't know what sort of lies beyond. We don't know what happens when we let go. You know, there is a sense of having to face that fear and surrender to it and just walk through it. It's taking a lot of faith. It's a huge leap of faith, but that is the way through. That is the kind of the solution, if you will, to this kind of situation that we find ourselves in. It is very karmic. It can't really be avoided because we are dealing with the outer planets. You know, it is happening whether we're ready or whether we like it or not. But there's also a real sense of it being fated as we are working with the final sign of the zodiac, Pisces. You know, it is karmic. It is about letting go. It is about stepping more into our higher selves, more into our soul selves. Ultimately, just being able to let go. And, you know, this, I really wanted to acknowledge that this is not easy work. You know, we as humans find it hard to let go. We find change hard, even when we know it's for our greatest good and it's for our growth. You know, it is still challenging. There is still resistance and there are huge adjustments to be made. You know, our bodies are having to adapt to much higher levels of energy that are coming through, and, you know, we are being upgraded, you know, in exponentially, you know, in ways that we've never had to experience or been subjected to before. So, you know, it's not surprising that our bodies are reacting in this way. It's not surprising that we're having all these physical symptoms, that we are having resistance. But, you know, ultimately, this is about just kind of acknowledging that, you know, it is a thing and that you're not going crazy. And again, you know, I said on Sunday, whenever I did the video, you know, it's about just pushing through and acknowledging it is a transit. And I know it's not always just about the astrology. You know, for me, there's other stuff going on, which is contributing to how I've been feeling. But again, in a very empowering way. And I know, you know, this is part of a big shift for me, but again, you know, change isn't always easy. But, you know, the planetary alignments are very much sort of helping us to shake off what has become stuck, what has become attached to us, you know, and kind of that acknowledgement that actually our bodies know what we need to let go of, our higher selves know what we need to let go of, and sometimes it's just the ego or the personality that is kind of standing in the way and going, oh, I'm not sure because I don't know what happens if I do that, and oh gosh, this is really scary, and oh, I've got a million reasons why I shouldn't, and la-di-da-di-da. So anyway, so that was kind of just thoughts about the astrology and sort of the insight I'd had, and about the fact that, you know, surrendering ultimately and having faith in the process is the absolute key. But I also wanted to share sort of the bulk of this channeled message, because it pretty much says what I've just said, but it was really, it was lovely to receive it, very validating for me, and yeah, resonated really strongly. So I'm really pleased that the lovely lady who sent it to me agreed for it to be shared. So it goes like this, and I'll just read it, maybe jumping in from time to time, we'll see how we go. But she had asked why she was feeling this intense vibration throughout her body and what was going on. And the response said that, as you're aware, the astrological planetary movements are triggering this, and your question is why. The trajectory of energy is rising exponentially. Of course, this will affect empaths and highly sensitive people more powerfully and intensely. You've been waiting for the changes that are occurring for so long, and now they are upon you. Holding the energies in a balanced and centered way is naturally the aim, but we might say it's a big ask of you to do this in this way at this moment, and your body is responding in the only way it knows how. Their vibration is shaking something loose from you, whether they are old ideas, old ways of thinking and being, old ways of sense making that may have been relevant for you in the past but are no longer relevant now. So they are literally being shaken off you at a cellular level. As humans, there is a natural tendency to gravitate towards the known and the predictable, and perhaps to hold on too long to that which no longer serves you on the grounds of better the devil you know. That's kind of, you know, staying in your comfort zone. But at a deeper level, you know these things are not in your highest and possible good. Holding on to the known is more comfortable than stepping out into the unknown, but that is not working anymore. And if you do not consciously let go of what needs to be left behind, it is going to be shaken out of you so that you can rise to the energetic level that is now appropriate for you to hold. And I would add required. And anything that gets in the way of that will be shaken off. So that's kind of essentially what I sort of was saying before. So, you know, this bit is a little bit more personal to her, but I'm going to read it because I think it applies to all of us. And what she says is that the soul contract that we have chosen has drawn us to incarnate at this time, in this place and in this dimension, to support those in confusion who are feeling the transitions but don't understand actually what's going on. So many of us are here as a guide, and it is as if we are the stabilizers on the wheel of a bike for a child who is learning to ride for the first time. So, you know, we're being called to help stabilize our fellow humans in this way. But in order to be able to do this, we have to hold a higher vibration ourselves. So anything that is stopping us from moving into this higher state is going to fall away. This occurs whether as a human you consciously desire to do so, or whether you need encouragement in the shape of these planetary energies to shake off what might be holding you in a stuck place. You are needed to be operating at your optimum at the moment. You're invited to see what you experience as jittery and unsettling as a positive indicator of moving to a different, new, higher level of vibration. And then the ending sentence is, all is well. Everything is unfolding for your highest good. There is no longer any need to fear. So that was just magical. And it pretty much sort of just confirmed what I'd been getting, you know, and also kind of how my body has been responding. So, you know, while I'm not saying this is an easy process, the physical symptoms are not easy to deal with. The emotional and mental symptoms are not easy. It is really reassuring to have this higher sort of insight and understand that actually what is happening is, you know, kind of bigger than us. Although we may be having these kind of individual reactions, you know, it is part of this shift and this kind of big kind of shift in the planetary energies, which we experienced at the beginning of the week leading up to the new moon. And obviously now we're working up to an eclipse in Pisces, and I've just been looking at the charts for that before I've done this video. So that's a really powerful, potent lunation as well, an eclipse, you know, that we are now working up to. So yeah, it's kind of just realizing that, you know, it is bigger than all of us, and you know, this is perhaps why it certainly kind of made a lot of sense to me. And I do sort of really feel now the moon has shifted into Libra, which is bringing more balance, more harmony. You know, that intensity of the Virgo energy was almost too much for me, so I'm really relieved that it's kind of lessened a little bit. But obviously the sun is still there, and will be, you know, for some time yet. So it's not over, but it has definitely eased off, thank goodness. So yeah, I really hope that that has helped in some way, that, you know, it's kind of resonated, you find it useful. And yeah, just thank you for kind of just thank you for being here. And it's just so good to know that, you know, we are all in this together. Although, you know, we are all individuals, we've all got our own blueprints, we've all got our own birth charts, which have been activated in different ways. You know, this is very much a collective experience. So yeah, just wanted to reach out and share gratitude for that as well. So thank you so much for watching. If you've got this far, I will be back. I'm going to share a video that I recorded a while ago, which is slightly off topic, and it's about a frequency healing device that I have been working with. So that I'm going to put that out the next day or so, just, you know, something slightly different. And then I will be back to talk about definitely the eclipse. Possibly there's a few other things kind of going on before then that might be worth talking about. So but yeah. Oh, and Mars is moving into Cancer tomorrow, so there's another shift on its way. It's like relentless, but it's good. It's really good. Anyway, thank you. I've waffled on for too long. Have an amazing rest of day, evening, morning, wherever you are. All right, thank you.